This episode is brought to you by Catherine Joyce. Stephen!
Andrew!
Fancy spending a quiet night inside number 9?
Yeah, I think so.
Alright, so we are reacting to The Trolley Problem, which was directed by Al Campbell, produced by Steve Ride, written by Steve Pemberton and Rhys Shearsmith, and it first aired on Wednesday the 15th of May 2024.
It's all very new.
Yes. I keep having to not say Steve Ryder when I read out.
Steve Ryder.
Steve Ride. Do you remember Steve Ryder?
No,
he was like grandstand presenter, like sports presenter on the BBC. Yeah.
I remember Steve Ryder.
Yeah, that's not who's producing Inside Number 9 this series.
Not Des Lynam. That's a different grandstand.
No, he's different. Yeah. Miss Grandstand.
Do you?
Yeah, a little bit. I missed the theme tune. It once made me cry. I remember I was out of the room when Grandstand finished, and I heard the theme tune coming from another room, and I cried because I missed it.
Oh, yeah, that's good. I've now got the Sports Report radio music in my head.
Yeah, it's not that.
That's
right,
weird, isn't it?
We've started very off-piste here.
We have, haven't we? Off-piste, like Ski Sunday.
So, driving home one stormy night, a poorly educated therapist sees a potential new client alone on a bridge, contemplating whatever it is he's contemplating. The therapist pulls the lever and stops his car, taking the stranger home to help him dry out and warm up. What would have happened if he'd succumbed to the bystander effect like everyone else and let things play out as they were going to?
That was quite an involved little synopsis.
I know, I got really involved with this one. Yeah. So, first impressions of this episode. How did you feel about this?
I think stormy weather and Steve in a room and seeming a little bit creepy just put me in mind of Riddler the Sphinx for pretty much the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It's easy to say with hindsight, but I figured something like that was coming. I thought the twist was going to be something to do with Rhys having set something up. It felt like that. It felt like it wasn't going to go as it looked like it might. Mm-hmm. How about you?
Yeah, I really loved the mood of it. I think the Stormy Daniels is all that came into my head there. That was strange.
Wow, another off-piste.
Yeah, it was like great vibe to it. I think Al Campbell's because he did Merrily Merrily, didn't he? And Kidnap, I think. Okay. And he set a good mood in Merrily Merrily.
Oh, I'd forgotten about Kidnap.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, Barry Shitpeas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it felt familiar in a way, in terms of, and I don't really want to use the word formulaic, but like in terms of an Inside Number 9 episode, it felt like I knew not exactly what the twist was going to be, but that it was going to play out in a way that it kind of did. Yeah. And some of that felt like maybe it's kind of just nodding to previous episodes, and because like the definitely Riddler the Sphinx felt present there. Also other things like misdirection, because obviously it was that sort of the games and the back and forth tussle for power, and like somebody's there with under false pretenses and that kind of thing. Last weekend, obviously, vengeance for the death of a child. And then I don't know if it was intentional, but like Wise Owl was really on my mind with it as well, in terms of like that dilemma of letting die for the sake of reputation versus killing, because obviously that's what happens in Wise Owl. It's not that the dad kills his daughter, but he lets her die. And then also, weirdly, cold comfort. Like the sound of the phone calls had a
Oh yeah.
It kind of just reminded me of that as well. And is this the first or only episode where it's just the two of them?
That's what I was going to ask. And I've been thinking about that since I first watched it on Wednesday. I can't think of another one where there is literally no one else on screen at any point.
I think it is.
I think it must be.
Because you get little cameo, because like Bernie
Clifton, yeah. There's a little bit at the end. Last weekend, there's the neighbour that visits them.
Yeah.
And she has some time in there.
Yeah, I can't think of any others.
I don't think there are. Which is weird how we've got this far and they've never sat. Someone will be shouting at or wherever they listen to this to.
Yeah. Wuthering Heist, obviously.
Wuthering Heist. No. Yeah, interesting that it's taken this many episodes to get to can't be bothered to hire guest actors.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they spent too much last week.
Yeah. This was a bottle episode. They're all bottle episodes.
Yeah, so I think that probably sets us up to do a bit of a walkthrough. Which for anyone listening for the first time, we try not to take in any other stuff before we do these episodes, so we don't kind of listen to other things or watch other things, just to try and avoid our minds being tainted. And
to avoid just being
repetitive
and just what you've already read.
Already been said. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we'll see what comes out. And we haven't talked about this with each other before. So that's why I enjoy these episodes. Yeah. Yes. So scene 1, we're in the countryside. Country. Yeah. So that's stormy.
Extra-national Stormy Daniels Day.
That's it. Country house, number 9.
I really like the first shot with the pouring weather and then the tiny little rear lights in the bottom right of the screen. I thought it was a really nice shot.
Yeah.
And it's horrible weather.
Really horrible weather.
Biblical.
Yeah. That's right. And we see a log fire. There's kind of nice fiery bookends to the episode.
Cozy. Less cozy later.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, we meet the two characters. I was really impressed by the rapid establishment of the situation. Like, I kind of looked at the time, it's like 2 or 3 minutes in, and like everything is set. And it's amazing.
Efficient.
Very efficient.
They've only got half an hour to make this.
Well, exactly. How do they do that? Yeah, and you know pretty early on that they are strangers, or that they don't really know each other. That comment of "there's nothing worse than weak tea."
Yeah.
Well,
I think there are worse things than a weak tea.
But I know what you mean.
Yeah. The little exchange about making tea. It's very, very odd. Do you want any sugar? No. I'll put some in nonetheless.
Well, I think, and on the rewatch, it was like, okay, we're learning something there about Blake in that he has no respect for boundaries and
no interest in what you actually want.
No consideration of consent. Decided. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, no, I'll put one in anyway.
Do you milk?
It's cow's milk, all right.
What other sort of milk is there? His little wry smile. Oh, he's one of these guys.
Is that a comment on the fact that you're not allowed to call like almond
maybe
drink? I don't know. Will we get sued if we call it almond milk?
Oats drink.
Oat drink.
Almond drink.
Political correctness gone mad.
Or maybe it's he's a country man who's not up for this political correctness gone mad nonsense. This health and safety. What else would it put in tea?
Yeah.
But he's clear he doesn't want to put Blake to any trouble.
No.
because
very considerate.
he is. He's just been picked up from the rain, where 20 or 30 people walk straight past him on a bridge.
I'll just let it stew for a minute. Nothing worse than a weak tea, is there?
Well, there are a few worse things, but I know what you mean.
Do you take sugar?
No, thank you.
I'll put one in anyway, it's good for shock. And you sure you don't want a tot of whiskey or anything?
I don't drink.
Ah, very wise. Is there anyone you'd like me to call?
No, thank you. Don't want to put you to any trouble.
It's only a cup of tea. It's cow's milk, all right?
As opposed to what?
So we've got this story that Drew is although we don't know names yet, Drew is a man who was found on a bridge by Blake, seemingly looking like he was going to jump off, and Blake has decided to be the 31st person who has stopped and isn't going to be part of the bystander effect.
Yes. Do you think he's seen an opportunity to bag a new client?
Because, we found out later he's not a nice guy. He's not a nice guy.
He's not a nice guy at all.
But then again, do you have to be a nice guy to decide, I don't really want to see someone jump off a bridge and end their own life?
Yeah, I don't know. What are his motives for stopping? That's a question that's up in the air. Yeah. He's one of those insufferable explainers of concepts, as just the way that he describes the bystander effect.
Mm-hmm. This is an opportunity for me to flex my muscles, and I know about philosophy. I know about sociology and anthropology. I know everything. Go on, test me.
Yeah, exactly. And he says he stopped because Drew looked like a lost soul. And even that phrasing is
diddle diddle dumpling.
A
lost soul.
A lost soul. Very good. Very good. I was thinking like that terminology made me think, has he got a bit of a messiah complex as well? He's like collecting lost souls and looking after them. Maybe as you discover, he does have weird fetishes, liking to see wounds, see people that suffer. Like there's something about that I think he enjoys.
It's a power thing, potentially, isn't it? He's got power over Ellie later on. He says he doesn't like games, but in fact, he does like to play with his prey.
He does.
He went to Cambridge.
Muck Cambridge. It's an online college.
Should have got a bigger frame. It looks like it says Cambridge. Are you a doctor?
I'm a therapist. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to charge my hourly rate.
Is there much call for that round here?
You'd be surprised. I'm fairly new to the area, but I've already got quite a full client list.
And so we learn that he's a therapist trained at Cambridge.
Muck Cambridge. What's this? Is this a thing? No, not a thing. Muck Cambridge is a debt, help, insolvency and accountancy practice.
Yeah, I did look at that. I was like, there is a Muck Cambridge.
I feel like it's a little too much of sticking a muck prefix on things to cheapen them.
Yeah. I suppose you couldn't call it Burger Cambridge. KF Cambridge.
Kentucky Fried Cambridge.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. And then that little exchange about needing a bigger frame, and the look that Blake then gives of like, no, that's very intentional.
It's the perfect size frame, I
it's
think.
It's the ideal size frame because it removes the muck, literally. Yeah, and then we learn he's new to the area, which is always a bit of a seed.
Flag.
Like what? Yep. Why's he come here? And then he makes up some thing about being a listening post where people can say what they want, just like free parking, a neutral area. I didn't know about the boot changing to a penguin.
I like the fact that Drew is an insufferable explainer, but only when it comes to the work of Waddington's.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the same, isn't he?
He is. I know something about this. You've got your bystander effect. I see your bystander effect, and I raise you. Boot replaced by a bird.
By a penguin, not the biscuit.
Not the biscuit. Garibaldi.
Always be specific.
Yeah, he then gets a little bit agitated about. He's asked if he's spoken to anyone, and he bemoans the. I was talking to someone the other day about booking a doctor's appointment, and there must be a better way than this. Everyone jumping onto the phone at 8:30 and sitting there and having to deal with a busy tone over and over again. It's insane. Yeah. How is this a thing?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. No, I felt the rage in that rant.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm with you.
Relatable. It was almost as relatable as watching a Peter Kay stand-up show and just noticing things.
Just noticing everything. I do that too. Yeah, I do that. Why are you telling me these things? Yeah. Yeah, and that line about sort of, have you ever spoken to anyone about your situation? That Blake asks him, and what situation? What brought you to be standing on the bridge contemplating whatever it was that you were contemplating? Which, obviously, we're at first thinking he's contemplating jumping off, but actually what he's contemplating is whatever he's got planned.
His next move, yeah.
For Blake this evening, yeah. So he's contemplating maybe this very situation. Yeah. And then we learn about Blake's therapeutic offerings.
CBT, laughter yoga, hypnotherapy.
What's laughter yoga?
It's a fairly new practice, popularised in the mid-90s by Dr. Madan Kataria. He conjectures that you don't actually need comedy or funny stories to trick the body into the benefits of laughter. So with these exercises, you just start laughing. and eventually... Ooh, you really start to benefit.
I don't know whether I'm laughing at you or with you.
It doesn't matter, as long as you're laughing. Okay, let's leave it there. Oh, that's good. That's good. Let it all out, come on.
The whole bit with the laughter yoga just makes me think of David Brent reading out from his little book of mindfulness in that training session, trying to get people to laugh with him.
Yeah.
And that becomes quite terrifying. Well, this becomes quite terrifying quite quickly with Drew descending into maniacal. Yeah.
There's something great about what happen, how laughter can go from being moderately joyful to like
evil,
something really sinister. Yeah. And I mean, Blake's like his woo.
Yes.
All of that's a bit weird. Like,
it is.
That's not laughter.
It's very odd.
Twirling his fingers and
yeah.
What
are you doing?
What are you doing? Yeah.
Does that give you some insight into what it's like being in his office?
Yeah. Oh,
right.
I would not like him as a therapist.
No.
And it's quite Joker-esque. Have you seen Joker?
I haven't seen Joker, no.
Yeah. So he's the kind of he has an issue where he just laughs uncontrollably in really inappropriate situations, and it's a similar, like it is on the verge or balancing on the line between despair and I don't know if there's any joy in it, but it's like laughter in a like
as
everything's falling apart,
as in where Drew goes.
Same thing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's something about Blake's. That's good. That's good. Let it all out. It's like, because again, it's the power, as you said earlier, and the almost the enjoyment of, this is great. And it's like there's no consent to any kind of therapy here from Drew's perspective, but Blake is just, that's how unprofessional he is. He just sort of steps into that role.
Yeah.
Immediately and keeps persevering even when Drew says, stop analysing me, or whatever.
When he says he just wants some time. And the response of, yeah, I've got things to do anyway. He goes and gets his laptop, sits down across the table from him. I'm just going to sit here.
Yeah.
Is this giving you enough space?
Yeah. He's probably doing his onboarding process. And I've got these things. What's your name again? Okay.
Just typing up my first invoice.
Yeah, exactly.
And he spots the gun in the trousers while he's comforting him.
Yeah.
This is taking a turn.
Exactly. You're thinking, oh, we've got a Chekhov's gun.
Got a Chekhov's gun. We have.
What a treat. And then we find out, or he says that he thinks he might have killed somebody.
Yes.
So then it's like, okay, maybe the gun's related to that, as opposed to his plan for himself. But yeah,
that becomes interesting later. I think I might have killed someone. Why does he come out with it then? It's just to sort of throw that grenade in there. Because he's just created a situation where Blake may feel like he now needs to call for help, or is he banking on the fact that Blake's far too arrogant and thinks that he sees this as more of an opportunity than anything? Yeah. This is an opportunity more than a concern that he's got a murderer in his house. This is going to be a pretty great payday for me. This guy's seriously messed up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, and do you think Drew is just testing the water to see how Blake is going to respond?
Or it's he has a genuine slip and he just sort of loses control for a second, because he's quite adamant right at the end of the episode that he hasn't killed anyone.
Yeah.
He's let someone die. But is this a slip of, no, I know that letting someone die is the same thing.
So do you think he's thinking about Robbie?
Yeah, I think seeing as later on, throughout all of his interactions with Blake, once Blake knows who he is and all those things, he's quite clear on the fact that he sees letting someone die as just as bad.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
As doing it. Even the last line in that kind of context, he's not kidding anyone. Like, he knows what he's done because he's done exactly what he did, and he's making a point, isn't he? So he has killed Robbie. He hasn't just let him die. He's taken action. He's kidnapped him and put him in a box and buried him underground.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely involved.
I didn't kill him, officer. He's not a passive bystander in this, is he?
Not really. No.
So I don't know. I felt like it was an odd shout.
Good point.
But yeah, I don't want to be fucking analysed. Have a night off. You've just given him a real nugget there. Don't analyse this, but I think I've killed someone. What?
And again, you're not my therapist, so you probably should be calling the police now with that disclosure.
Yes. Not using it as an opportunity to therapy me.
Yeah.
So yeah, he asked me to go use the toilet. Just wandering off the toilet with his gun while Steve rifles around for some pills. Yes,
which conveniently are in the kitchen drawer.
I did like the drugging each other.
Yeah.
It felt like it was going to be a bit farcical.
Yeah.
Let's see how this goes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Did you do the drawing in the bathroom?
No, that's my son Robbie. He's doing art A level.
It's good.
Yeah, he's very talented. I'm proud of him.
I used to like drawing when I was at school.
Oh. A lot of people find it very therapeutic. Robbie's quite a shy kid. It's good for him. His teacher says it really brings him out of himself. Would you like to take a seat over by the fire?
So in the bathroom, we see Drew with his pot of pills, which it looks like he's going to get rid of. I think my thought when I saw that was he is obviously on some medication. He's going to get rid of his medication, and what's going to be the consequences of that?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not what happened. And he sees a drawing on the wall, a pair of shoes.
Pair of trainers.
Yeah, trainers. Any significance to that? Or just
I don't think so.
no.
No.
No. And
Just
then
humanises Robbie a bit, I guess. Probably makes it a little bit tougher.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those were drawn by the boy.
Oh yeah, he probably didn't want to know that. Yeah, that's true. And then they talk about the painting. They talk about drawing and the fact that Drew very
Can't believe there was no joke made at that point.
appropriately named. Yeah.
It's almost like he just made it up on the spot. What's your name? Drew?
Yeah.
Drew.
It is draw. But then after tonight, it will be Drew.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it just seems like, I don't know if there's something missing here. It'd be interesting to see the script books when they come out. But the art therapy just seems to happen
nowhere.
again with no consent or
yeah.
conversation.
Should we call this art therapy shoot? What?
It's like, oh, well, a minute ago you were saying take a night off, and now you're like willingly, and maybe part of that's allowing Blake to leave the room so he can put the pills in his cup of tea, and he's not really thinking about, the fact that you're now in a therapy session.
Well, the thing is, he starts to, once he comes back out of the toilet, his demeanor changes and he starts to just be a lot more normal.
Mm-hmm.
He now is sort of relaxed, talking while he's doing some drawing. He's open to that idea. He's now just talking about something to do with when he was working as an estate agent. He went to show someone around a property. There was a girl there, and it all gets a bit...
I was quite glad that faded into the blur.
I was trying to make out what it was, but I was...
It just sounds like a very boring estate agent story.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was anything of any consequence in it, but I couldn't tell.
Yeah. I mean, because there's something about, a girl was standing there and she seemed distressed or something, and whether he's talking about his daughter or I'm not sure. But.
And they're both giving each other these looks as they drink their tea, as if to say, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah, and that was a great moment, because it's like, you, as the audience, we obviously know both cups of tea are compromised. Yeah. What's going to happen? How's this going to?
It's quite funny in a way.
Yeah,
people drugging each other. It's not, obviously, but.
In a way, as you say.
In a way. In the context of this.
I do like Drew's token finger stir of the cup of tea.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not done anything apart from... It's probably quite hot
at the surface,
on your finger.
Slightly.
Maybe added a few little bits of bacteria to the tea.
There's this weird little faux self-deprecation as well. Can I draw you as long as you get my best side? I'm kidding. I don't have one. He didn't mean a word of that.
Yeah. do you think that was?
I think so.
Rather
I think
than,
he thinks too much of himself.
I'm evil. I don't have a good side.
Oh, maybe. Or maybe he is evil. That's
this moment, especially when the drawing came into focus. I was like, there's something Rolf Harrisy about this guy.
There is. You're right. He looks a bit like George Lucas, but also a bit like Rolf Harris.
Yeah. And I love that when he wakes up. Have we got to that bit?
Yeah. Cable tie.
Cable tie. Attached to the oven. Why did you drug me? That's rich.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Why did you drug me?
I could ask you the same thing.
this is where, again, there's also a Last Weekend crossover, obviously, with the drugging, and starting to think that he does know him, and obviously that then comes out in this next scene. This is a vengeance rather than something random.
Yes.
Because it turns out that Drew has been watching Blake for a while and knew he was going to be driving past to the bridge. Yeah.
Yes. Robbie will be back any moment. I don't think so. Yeah. He knows full well that Robbie's not coming back. He's in a box. And I like this little exchange here where Drew starts to call out some of the therapist behaviors and starts to break that apart a little bit.
Yeah.
Using first names to establish trust.
Yeah.
I like it. It's yeah. At this point he's got his number.
Yeah.
He knows what he is.
Yeah, it's like Blake is on the ropes.
There's still this sense that Blake thinks there's a job to do here. There's still a job when he's saying, like, I want you, when Drew says, I want you to know what it's like to be me. So, that's understandable. No, you don't understand at this point. You are currently being held hostage by a man that knows who you are and has got a bone to pick with you. This isn't therapy time. Stop it.
Yeah, it's like that, the need to control, or the trying to take power over him. I suppose he's said he's a hypnotherapist as well, didn't he? Well, he does hypnotherapy, whether he...
Oh, there we go. It's a Zanzibar callback, this one.
Yeah, they're all in this, aren't they?
They are, the whole lot.
Yeah. So maybe he's trying some of his, neuro-linguistic programming techniques and that kind of thing.
It might be he's just sort of trying to bring him down and de-escalate.
But I also think he's really bad at it.
Yeah, he is. He's clunky and
yeah. It's like it's pop psychology style therapist. He's, Muck Cambridge therapist. And like with the Sondy test, when an insufferable explanation of it.
But he also says just before that, I don't care what people think of me.
Yes, that's a significant thing.
He 100% does. He's all about the image. He wants to seem credible. If he didn't care what people thought of him, he'd have a big enough frame so you could see that he went to Cambridge.
I know you're facing some difficulties, but you can turn this around, Drew.
Oh, can I? Well, thank you very much, Blake, using your first name to establish trust.
Look, I don't mean to upset you, but please, just tell me what you want.
I want you to know what it's like to be me.
Okay, that's understandable.
You read all these books?
Yes.
Really? You don't just have them here to make people think you're clever?
No, I don't care what people think of me.
Yeah, that is the biggest lie in the entire show, because this is all about... I mean, he says later on, like, I've got my reputation to...
Yes, exactly. You really do care.
The reason I'm letting loads of people die is because I care what people think.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I care about.
He's then provided with the trolley problem.
Yeah. Drew's turn to over-explain something.
Yes, that's true, yes.
But Blake can't handle that because he butts in. Yes, I'm aware of the trolley problem. And then he explains what it is.
I think there might be a bit of almost mocking going on there. When he's over-explaining the trolley problem, it's a case of, this is what you sound like. Here you go. Listen to this. You are insufferable.
Yeah, I think that's a
This is point, how insufferable you are. It's interesting, the trolley problem. And I think at this point, I think it's kind of pretty much settled that the whole point of it is to say, don't take action, because the action is an action. And then what about if you could throw yourself in front of it? The dilemma becomes a trilemma.
Yeah. I hate it. It's horrible.
And then he decides that who the people that are tied onto the tracks make the difference.
Yeah.
If it's Mary Berry, then he's killing himself. If it's Greg Wallace, then no.
Yeah. Very harsh, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also a bit harsh on MasterChef.
Yeah.
Bake Off's done quite well out of this.
That's because Reese has been on Bake Off, hasn't he?
Ah, maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. I don't think Mary Berry was on at the time. I think it was,
I don't think Reese has been on Celebrity MasterChef.
No. He probably applied and got rejected.
Maybe. And that's why he'd happily let Greg Wallace be run over by a runaway trolley.
I mean, obviously, Drew says you're not taking this seriously, but like the fact that that is Blake's thinking, it depends on who. Is like that isn't the trolley problem. It's not the particulars of who is on the track.
No.
Like, in itself, that is highlighting your moral compass. It's like,
yes.
You do not see everyone as equal. And I guess that kind of speaks to the fact that he cares what people think. So he has probably a very hierarchical framework of like understanding where people fit in societal structure and that kind of thing. It's like you're more valuable than him and blah, blah, blah.
And then the trolley problem suddenly gets very real when we find out the story of Ellie Dawson, who he apparently didn't know.
No.
For a few minutes.
And then even if he did, doctor-patient confidentiality, you're not a doctor.
Am I a therapist? Because you're talking to me now.
Yeah. Interesting thing. So he says that Blake put Ellie on a course of anti-psych drugs. Mm-hmm. Therapists can't prescribe drugs.
Is this a hole or is it a breach of regulations? What hole?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Or regulation breach, acting outside of his sphere.
I mean, he's obviously got access to the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So whether he didn't prescribe, they weren't prescribed, but they were just handed to her. I don't know.
This idea of hiding behind the doctor-patient confidentiality thing, where do you think he genuinely sees himself as that?
I think he'd like to, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, anyone can call themselves a therapist. Yeah.
Ellie Dawson. She came to you with low mood, depression, abandonment issues. You put her on a course of anti-psych drugs, the same ones I gave you just now. And then what happened?
And then we hear the phone recording.
Which
is horrible.
Is furious about because he hasn't consented to the recordings.
Oh, just this outrage, this faux outrage of how dare you? Yeah, especially when he knows what's coming. Does he think Drew is going to say, "Oh, absolutely, you're right. That's awful. I shouldn't do this."
I should delete that straight away.
Is this what made you think of Cold Comfort? This like vulnerable voice on the other end of the phone.
It was this one, yeah.
Do you think Reese recorded this one?
It did. It just had that same vibe to it, yeah. And it's just so creepy, isn't it? When you hearing Blake, the comments he makes about the cuts, like asking if they hurt to touch, and then wanting to see them, and then
the thing that makes it worse somehow is oh no, you don't have to if you don't want to.
You can send me a
picture of them. Here's my email. Like, oh.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is that it's almost like a false letting her feel like she's got a choice in the matter. Yeah. Oh, you don't have to. That's what someone who really wants you to feel like you do have to would say. Mm-hmm. Weirdly,
yeah, it's almost creating a false perception of autonomy for her. In that, you've got the choice between showing me now or sending me pictures. Like, don't worry about. And it's like really manipulative.
Oh, he was a really nice guy. He said I didn't have to.
Yeah.
So I did. Because now that made me feel more comfortable.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh. And even just the underguessing her age and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, as if he's disappointed.
He gave her a younger age than she actually was. The whole thing was vile. And And he at that point, he knows he's rumbled.
Yeah, because he's desperate to turn it off.
Yes. Turn it off. This is making me feel horrible.
Yeah.
This the mirror being held up to him.
What do you think is making him feel horrible?
To hear yourself being that way, no matter whether or not you acknowledge that you do take part in that behavior, it might be that this is something he almost knows is a vice that he has, and he is horribly disappointed to hear that played back to him. I don't know. Or it's just right, please stop this. We all know where we are now. We know what this is now.
Yeah. Because he doesn't strike me as having a huge amount of... He certainly doesn't have any empathy, and shame maybe comes with that. There are probably things he would be ashamed of, but I doubt it's his actions. It's probably the fact that she's recorded them or whatever. Like, I don't want to hear that, but it's not because I'm ashamed of what I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I then think it takes a little bit too long to arrive at the fact that Drew is Ellie's dad.
Mm-hmm.
I was there.
Yeah,
I was there already.
It was quite clear, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes. And then the look of realization on Blake's face as he talks about the estranged father and goes, "Oh my God."
It was a bit like Eminem Stan when
it was me. That guy was you.
Yeah, he suddenly realizes.
And in the car they found a tape, but they didn't say who it was to. Come to think about it, his name was you.
Do. Yeah, and it turns out that they've been romantically involved, which is unethical but not illegal. Oh, that's fine then. Yeah, this sounds perfectly...
I mean, he's not a doctor, so...
like... Oh.
And that she's become obsessed with him. So that, I guess, the standard response of someone who finds himself in that situation is, oh yeah, they completely misread the relationship. They pursued me, and I guess to cover his tracks, there's nothing better to do that than take out a restraining order to make it look like it's that way around.
Which only, in my mind, compounds the fact that he acted completely ridiculously and unprofessionally, because
100%.
that's quite likely to happen. So, and you know that.
He's
surely.
an expert.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has a name for it that he could regale us with.
I'm sure there's an effect. Yes. Or a paradox. Or
so yeah. Ellie's dead. Ellie is dead. With Drew having... He kind of holds himself responsible for this whole thing because he screwed up by paying for her to go and see a therapist. And he made a wrong choice. So this whole story and this whole episode is about, I guess, Drew trying to make amends for the harm that he caused. He intervened. He pulled the lever and sent her down the path to therapy. And without that, none of this would have happened. I guess this whole thing is a series of levers being pulled and people not leaving things alone.
Yeah. And I think that's why I like the trolley problem, like just looking at it through the entire episode at different levels. Like it works quite nicely for that. If you kind of get beyond, because I think the way that Drew applies it is a little bit clunky and a little bit like, that trilemma thing.
No, it doesn't.
Like, that doesn't really work.
I mean,
guys.
there's a certain bit of, are you willing to throw yourself under the bus to save someone else, or under the trolley, which is him confessing. Yeah. At the end of it, is he willing to throw himself under that bus to save Robbie later on?
But he's not even aware.
He doesn't really give him that choice. No, he doesn't, does he? Because he doesn't know that that's an option. He's just being asked to throw himself under the trolley because it's the right thing to do, not because there's a potential for someone else to suffer from it. Like the suffering's already gone, hasn't it? Drew's suffering is still there that he lost his daughter, but yeah, there's no immediate choice to be made necessarily.
Yeah.
And by the time he finds out there is a choice to be made, the choice has been taken out of his hands.
And in some ways, it would be interesting to know what Blake would do if it was no, you've got to confess and ruin your reputation in order to save your son.
I can't help but hope that would be okay, fine.
Do you think?
I'll write it down. I hope so. God, I hope so. He's awful,
I don't know. I don't know.
So his desire to kind of make amends for the part that he feels like he played was trying to now extort a confession out of Blake. And this is where he puts the trolley problem into this context when he explains that he knows that Blake was there when she took an overdose. He gives the timeline that she took an overdose at 3:00. She would have died at about 6:00, 3 hours after she took it. And the man was seen of Blake's description was seen leaving the hotel. So he knows that he was there and he chose to not do anything. Now, was that a situation of, well, I guess we don't know actually if he did do something, because if he was trying to get rid, it could be as simple as he saw an opportunity for her to go, like in
Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
that was
where he lets her choke.
It was that scene came. Yeah, unfortunately, I hate that.
A horrible
scene.
A horrible bit of television. But
it's the same
that,
thing.
Or he was a bit more proactive about it.
Yeah.
But it fits his narrative of I didn't do anything.
Exactly. You didn't do it. Yeah, and that fits nicely with the trolley problem, obviously. And yeah, because he broke his own restraining order to go and see her. Like, so there's all sorts of questions about how did he know she was there? Was she reaching out to him for like help? And
maybe she was having a rough evening.
Yeah.
She'd already planned to do it, but she called him over to the hotel.
Yeah.
Just to speak to him once more. And then she did that and he went, oh, okay.
And
you're cool.
You know, so the fact that Drew is Ellie's estranged father, what does it mean to be an estranged father?
Separated from the family.
So she
lives with her mum.
So he still would be sort of giving her money and...
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think if you're an estranged family member, you are kind of separated from
the kind of domestic situation.
Okay. Having lost former closeness and affection in a state of alienation from a previous close or familial relationship. An estranged husband.
Right.
So I guess he might be the estranged husband. Or no, when he talks about her almost having sort of father issues.
Yeah.
And he was maybe trying to rebuild that relationship by offering her money for therapy and things like that.
Yeah, because I guess that you've got that added layer of Drew's guilt in that it's not just that he paid for the therapy; he was probably responsible earlier on in life for a lot of the issues that required the therapy. Yeah. So then Blake sees an opportunity to get himself untied from the oven, so he can write the confession.
I'll throw myself under the train.
Yeah. Oh, you noble man.
Uh-huh.
And of course, he's seen that the gun is, in fact, a spud gun.
Spud gun.
So he's seen a bit of potato.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
And yeah, he stabs Drew in the leg with a pen.
Yeah.
And then kicks him in the face.
Which is quite visceral.
The whole thing was quite vicious, yeah.
There's something
about he runs out to his car and then he looks as though he's going to call the police, but then he stops and we go back inside the house and the lights go out and there's some smashing sounds while Drew is pulling a pen out of his leg and creating a tourniquet.
Yeah.
Then Blake emerges and explains that he's basically setting up a situation where he came home and found a robber in his house.
Yeah. What choice does he have?
Yeah.
He's got a reputation to consider.
I should have let you jump off that bridge when I had the chance. Actually, that's it, of course.
What?
You said yourself 20 or 30 people saw you there tonight, looking longingly into the river. I should just take you back there. Me bringing you here was the sidetrack. I should have just let the train take its course.
You're just going to throw me into the water?
That's up to you.
And at this point, it's like he's forgotten that he wasn't actually going to jump off the bridge.
Yeah, I should have let you jump. No, he was never.
Yeah, I should have let you jump. No, don't forget he was never going to jump. And it's,
that wasn't a thing.
And with the trolley, it's as if he's sidetracked the train, and now he wants to put it back in the original position. So it
was a diversion.
He's doing both. He's
did it back on the track,
he's killing and letting him die. It's a double. Whereas most
is there
people
a way that
I don't want to do either of those things. He wants to do both.
Is there a way that I can somehow cause everyone to die?
Yeah, exactly.
Just so that it's fair. Because I'd hate to have the dilemma of saving someone's life while other people die. That's awful. How about everyone dies?
Just kill everyone. It's fine.
How about we run over those guys, back it up,
send it back that way,
then switch, then send it the other way?
Yeah.
No. So no one's ever answered the trolley problem like this. Are you okay? I'm fine.
I'm Blake.
I just see all life as being equal.
Yeah. There you go. I've never heard it answered that way before.
No, there's the moral,
the truly moral response.
All life is equal. Kill them all.
Kill them all. Yeah.
I can't choose one person over. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and it's funny at this point because Drew's pleading with Blake, but he's not pleading to let him live. He's still pleading for him to confess.
Yes. I think he's kind of all in on the idea that it doesn't matter how this goes, as long as some sort of justice is done here.
Yeah.
He's willing to throw himself under the trolley if it means that justice is done.
It seems like that's what he's sort of set his mind on. That is what he's going to do. And the pleading is almost on behalf of Robbie. He's like pleading not to let him live, but to let Robbie live.
He starts referring to him more formally as well.
Yeah, Mr. Chambers.
Mr. Chambers. Please, Mr. Chambers. It's very strange that he switches into that. I don't know whether that's him kind of appealing to his need to be in control and thinks that he's more likely to get a positive outcome here if he uses a surname to build a sense of power rather than a first name to build trust.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's what he's doing.
Is that what a surname does?
I think it's
like respect.
It's deferential, isn't it?
Yeah. So they go to Blake's car. This is where he says that he's forgotten his coat, which is a strange, because you're expecting at that point Drew to just run away, like all your instincts if you're in that situation, and Blake goes back in the house. You're like, okay, I'm out of here. It's dark. I could probably find somewhere to hide, but he's not interested in that.
This is very reminiscent of Seven. Kevin Spacey at the end of Seven, with the kind of the Roth moment where it's like, I'm in full control of this right now, and I'm going to watch you. I'm going to watch this play out for you as you make that phone call. You find out what's going on. I guess he had to go and get his coat, didn't he? Because otherwise, it's evidence.
Yeah, exactly. He needed to, because that and the
bystander coat in his house.
The bystanders would also. That's the description that they would give. He was wearing a coat. Where's that coat? Yeah, and he wouldn't want that coat in his house, as you say.
And this is then horrible. Like the phone call is horrible because
I was surprised he made the call. I think if I found that number, I'd be like, "Oh, is he trying to?" I want to make that phone call from his phone. I don't want that phone call. Maybe I was overthinking the evidence trail, but like,
maybe,
because I was thinking
the call was received by the rural police station at some point that evening from his phone, and then he hung up very quickly when he realised.
And it obviously wasn't Robbie's number because it didn't appear in
It was just a phone that he'd left him with.
So maybe it was in the box. Because I think there's a question of like, okay, if he had a phone with him, why didn't he phone the police or like phone someone for help? But maybe he didn't know the phone was
dark in the box, but he heard it lit up. Luckily, there was a can of petrol in the back of the car.
Yeah, that was a
very important
that was a relief.
Well, because otherwise, what would he have done? Started bludgeoning himself to death with a tyre riot. Would have been less dramatic.
Yeah, and a waste of a lighter. So
yes, true.
Yeah,
horrible scene. The whole thing is horrible at this point, where Robbie's panicking on the phone and pleading for him to come and get him, and then he's just dousing himself in petrol and throwing a lighter at himself and screaming.
There's something about that image of him through the window where he's you suddenly, because you're like, what are you doing?
What's he doing? Yeah. Oh, hang on a minute.
Absolute chaos. That this whole thing is descending into like there's so no brutal. One's in control of anything anymore. Yeah,
it's so horrible. The idea of being on fire, covered in fuel, and horrendous. No, and then his screams. Robbie pleading on the other end, running out of oxygen. A really heavy end to the episode.
Yeah, I think, and that's that shot of the flames in Blake's glasses. Like, I think
that you wise owl
again. Wise owl, like very much kind of even to the point of like you are, although it's a proxy. Like Drew is a proxy. You're seeing your child die. Because that's what Drew dying represents essentially, because in the glasses you can see the little figure as well, like moving around. Suffering.
That's the thing. You'd usually cut away from it because it's a horrible thing to watch, but then you're actually shown quite a lot in the glasses, like him writhing around. Yeah. It's pretty nasty.
It is. It's really chilling. Yeah, and like you said about. Boo to a Goose. There's kind of like with Finn's character, there's a Saw style game going on, and this again reminded me a little bit of that. Like the idea that the character is by the time the character knows what's at stake and knows what they should have done, it's too late for them to do it, and the door closes, and it's just a really chilling, haunting end. And so I suppose what happens next. Everyone is taken out because, like, Blake's not gonna. He's got a burnt figure in his front garden and a dead son, so his reputation is gone.
It is, but no one knows about the girl, so. You win some, you lose some.
That is true.
In a way.
Yeah. But
it hasn't won anything.
As they piece together the different relationships, they might realise, okay, this was the father of a former patient or client.
Yes. Don't call her a patient.
Indulging his whole... Yeah.
Would you rather be therapy perv or fire murderer? which is it going to be, Blake?
So I've enjoyed talking through it. I kind of it's fun to dive into the nuts and bolts of episodes like this, because as I say, I don't think it's going to be up there in my top episodes, but it does have its moments. I think it
does. I think the game playing aspect and the almost torturing was possibly something I hadn't thought about enough. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Actually better than I thought it was before we started talking about it.
I think I'd agree. Yeah. And so if anybody else has thoughts on anything we've said or reactions to the episode that we haven't talked about, then please do get in touch via Twitter at AQNIN9 or email quietnightinsideNo9@gmail.com. We've had some nice emails recently. We had, one from American Boy Dylan. Thanks for your email. That was a delight.
That was a nice email, Dylan. Thank you.
Thank you. And I've been painting, mate.
So I've seen.
Yeah, I did a Matthew Kelly.
I saw. That was nice.
I enjoyed that one. And I was thinking, if anyone wants to sort of donate to the to our PayPal fund, just to keep this thing going. I don't know. What do you reckon? Donate £50. Write.
Wow. You're going.
Write your favourite episode, and I'll paint a scene from your favourite episode and send it to you if you donate £50 or more. Do you reckon anyone would do that?
I mean, someone donated £50 without even having that little carrot. So
yeah, well, that's a carrot. If it gets too much, if too many people do it, which I'd suspect could
there's a problem.
happen, then I might not be able to sustain it. But
quit everything else. Just quit everything else that you've ever worked for and paint. Get your watercolors out and crack on.
I just want to improve. I'm not the greatest painter, but
You're not. You've screwed this up. If you'd like me to paint for you, send me some money and I'll do your painting. It will be rubbish. I'm not very good at it.
Yeah, I do landscapes and portraits, just like Drew. And if anyone wants the Matthew Kelly one, you can just write that in your little note on your PayPal.
So now you want money
for things I've already done.
Yeah,
it's easier. I don't know. I'll probably regret this.
This isn't making the edit, is it?
I don't know. We'll see. It might make. It depends if I get feedback, and then I'll do a re-edit.
What listeners drop off?
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's a great way to finish.
I think so.
All right. Speak to you. I think it's Mulberry Close is the next episode.
Oh, that sounds quite kitchen sink drama. I'll be interested to see where that goes.
I think that's one that people have seen. Did they see it at the BFI thing? Yeah. Yeah. All right.
See you on the other side of that.
See you on the other side of that. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've got to get me out.
You let him die.
Help me, please, Dad. No! Where are you? What's going on? I can't get out, Dad. Please, please! Help me, Dad, please!